12 minutes to go in normal time. Liverpool 3-0. Corner taken quickly, Origi!
Hello and welcome to the Reds Cast podcast. There is the new season. Liverpool started yesterday against Leeds. I am joined on Skype by Ste, as always. How are we doing?
Afternoon, Matty. Yeah, doing well. Like Liverpool back to doing it the hard way, innit?
Yeah, back to it the hard way. I mean, we are pretty much like that, aren't we? Most first games of the season, we are explosive. But it's a worry, how bad we was at defending.
Yeah, it was. Even your calmest and your most reliable players are making mistakes.
Yeah, like Van Dijk, and it was crazy. But we'll start with the 11s. Leeds are actually a decent little team, aren't they?
They are. I think they'll do well. Probably mid-table. I don't think they're in any danger of going down. Probably a bit early to say that, but yeah. I just feel it from them that they're going to have a real go.
I mean, the last time I said a team would do well was Norwich last year after the first game of the season. But with Leeds, they're very similar to us, aren't they? But I mean, when I look at the formation, they play they have Calvin Phillips, where like Hendo and Fabinho and that would play. Yeah. And then they have 4 in midfield and just 1 up front with Bamford. But obviously Harrison and Helder Costa pretty much a wing back, so they play like Salah and Mane anyway, so they play very, very similar to Liverpool.
Yeah.
And you can see it, can't you? Like, they went toe to toe with us, like champions of England.
Absolutely, yeah. Not many teams come to Anfield and do that, because even the so-called big teams, most of them are too scared. I would say probably City aside, because City do generally give us a game.
Yeah.
Most other teams are too scared to even come away from their own 18-yard box against us because with the way we can tear teams apart. But Leeds, they weren't scared. They were like, no, we're here to have a game and we're going to play our way, and whatever happens, happens, and fair play to them.
I mean, we did obviously have 2 penalties, but I was in no doubt with either of them. I know Carragher said on Sky that he was a bit unsure of the first penalty, but the handball rules have changed this year, haven't they? Where if it comes into any contact with your arm, it's a pen.
And let's be honest, his hand was way away from his body.
Yeah. And with Michael Oliver as well, he was the ref. He's always bang on. He's probably the best ref in the country. So when you see him give it, you know that it's gonna be sound, really.
He was right there, wasn't he? He was close enough to see it, and he got it right. He did for both of them. I think he got it right. I've seen a few of the Sky Sports presenters were a bit iffy about it because it's bounced off his foot, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But his hand is in such an unnatural position, and it's travelled far enough to him before it hit his leg.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't like the new handball rules to meet myself, because you just know that it's going to catch certain people out this year. We was on the right side of it this game, but it's going to go against us at some points in the season.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll even itself out throughout the season, no doubt. Although, everyone's probably already calling us penalty kill and all that shit.
Yeah.
But that's what happens. We're an attacking team, so we spend that much time in the opposition box. The chances of getting penalties are higher.
I mean, we had 22 shots.
Yeah.
We're on target, which is just abysmal. We're considering Leeds only had 6 shots. 3 of theirs were on target. So it was a lot more clinical, but the stats we had are very similar to what Leeds had in the Championship last year. I was having a look, and they was creating 22 shots a game and only having maybe 2 or 3 on target. And that was very similar to Liverpool yesterday. We were clinical, but we weren't clinical. When you think like Bobby's miss, and there's a few other chances as well where we should have just buried them. But it's the first game back, so there is going to still be rustiness there. We had 17 shots inside the box though, which to me is just we weren't clinical enough.
No. I mean, the one that stood out for me most was Firmino's chance. I was watching the match with Ashley. We were discussing it. He was saying, as great as Bobby is all the things he does. You want your number 9 to be banging that in 9 times out of 10, and I don't think Bobby bangs that in 9 times out of 10. I think he probably gets 2 or 3.
Yeah, definitely. Thinking back to their first goal, Jack Harrison, it was open play from their keeper, and Gomez was quite poor on that goal. But one person I just want to highlight really was Trent, because he was really shaky at times, wasn't he?
He was one of a few I could name that were off the pace.
Yeah.
To be fair, he did really well for that goal.
Yeah.
He really did well. He took it well. I guess it was probably a couple of half-assed tackles from Gomez and Trent.
Yeah.
But he did really well and he finished it well. There was a few times I've seen, I think Henderson as well, just not quite there.
You can tell they've missed them two in particular have missed pre-season, like, can't you?
Yeah, you can. Yeah. But that's just how it is. So we've got to get them in. We've got to let them have these games where they're a little bit off the pace. And fortunately, it hasn't cost us this weekend. So hopefully, a couple of games in, they'll be a bit less rusty, and the mistakes will disappear. Hopefully.
Well, I was going to ask you. Well, we'll speak about the Chelsea game later on, but would you say it's too early now to maybe start Trent in that game, given he hasn't had a pre-season, he's only really trained with England, he was so off the pace? Would it be worth putting Gomez at right back and Matip in the middle with Van Dijk?
No. I would stick with Trent. But I would replace Gomez with Matip.
Would you? See, he was a bit shaky yesterday, Gomez, but then when you watch I watched the England game and he was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Gomez does have shaky games sometimes, but he's more consistent than shaky, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's a couple of things. I mean, maybe he's another one, he just needs a few more games to get into it, but there was a few things I've seen him do. I've seen him come out of position, I've seen him leave Van Dijk isolated once or twice, and, he come out when he shouldn't.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, if that's Lovren doing that, he gets all sorts of abuse. It sort of gets ignored a little bit because of Gomez. Don't get me wrong, he's got the quality there. He just, at the moment, he still looks like he's likely to make a mistake, isn't it?
Yeah, that's fair. Looking on towards Van Dijk's header, who knew Andy Robertson could take a corner?
I'll tell you why, because I didn't put him in my fantasy team. I've got a fantasy team. That's why Robbo's took over the corners.
I put Trent as my captain.
Oh, no. There's people out there who've put Salah as triple captain. You might as well just give it to them. That's it, they've won him.
I'm in a few money leagues this year, and I just had a bad start. He had Bamford on my bench, and obviously he scored as well. He played quite well, Bamford. But yeah, going back to the goal, good free kick from Robertson winning it, and it seemed like he was taking quite a lot of the corners, more so than Trent, which is very unusual, isn't it?
Yeah, I remember something got said last year. It might have even come from Robin that he's better at hitting a moving ball.
Yeah.
So it must be something he's doing very hard on.
I mean, first game back and he's getting an assist like that for Van Dijk. I mean, it was poor marking, wasn't it, from Leeds?
Oh, yeah.
Don't give Van Dijk that much space in the box, but it was clinical. I didn't even know it went in. I thought it was safe.
Without the crowd, isn't it?
Yeah, it's proper. I hate it without the crowd. Like, in a way, I made up the season's back, but I'm gutted because I was thinking back to like the Norwich game last year, first game of the season. Like we had the mosaic on the cop house in the Annie Road, and it was the atmosphere was boss because we were back as European champions, and I just think how good that atmosphere would have been with 3,000 Leeds fans. They make noise. Us our first game back as champions, and I was just like, it just felt like last season still because that's how it ended. It
felt like something was missing, didn't it?
Yeah,
well, obviously, the fans are missing, so it's massive. But it just you really felt it because it should have been a big occasion.
Yeah, because it was champions against champions, really, wasn't it? And I mean, I watched the second half without the crowd noise, and I'm never doing that again. I don't like it. Even the crowd noise just gives it a little bit of oomph. Do you know what I mean? Even though you know it's not there.
Yeah, I think that's what confused me with Van Dijk's goal, because I think whoever was in control of the crowd noise didn't realise it had gone in either.
Yeah, at least they done that. Oh.
Yeah.
that like it is on FIFA, and I was like, is that not went in? It looked like it went in. I was dead confused. And you see Van Dijk walking off like this.
Yeah.
I was made up when he scored, though. It was a brilliant goal, but then 10 minutes later, he proved he was human again. We said Van Dijk's human in the past 2 podcasts.
I know.
It was a really poor error from Van Dijk, something we've never ever seen before, wasn't it?
I don't know what happened. Like, I think he was just too casual.
It was probably like he was too cocky because
he's
probably thinking it's only Leeds, and you can't really blame him for that because you've only played in the Championship. You are the best player in the world, and it's Patrick Bamford who can't make it in the Prem ever.
I don't know whether this will be controversial. I'm going to put a little bit of that on Alisson, to be fair, because I don't think he's given Van Dijk the call.
Yeah.
That should be the...
Hasn't looked as strong as Alisson can be in recent weeks in pre-season. But it's only the first game. Like, he's going to concede goals, and I honestly believe that where Patrick Bamford hasn't had a good life in the Premier League, so to speak, he had 16 goals for Leeds last year. I think this is his year, and I think Leeds are... I've got here that I think they're going to finish 8th.
Yeah.
So
I said
I'm not too bothered.
Anywhere between 8 and 12.
That's what I mean. So I'm not too bothered about Van Dijk making a mistake against them because we didn't get beat. That's the main thing. We got 3 points.
It didn't cost us.
Yeah, I mean the goal difference. Obviously, you want to get better goal difference, and us scoring 4 goals, we shouldn't. If we were strong with the back, we would have had a better goal difference. However, I think Leeds are going to give people a lot of problems.
Yes, they are. And it's good to have a team like that who will come up against people who may be challenging us and give them a game rather than teams like Norwich who just got pretty much walked over by everyone. You need better quality there in the Premier League, and I think they are. They're a proper Premier League team.
I mean, Bielsa's a phenomenal manager. He came in 2018 from Lille. And Benjamin Mendy worked under him, and he's been tweeting about how good he is. He's got a 56% win percentage already at Leeds. Apparently, he lives on top of a sweet shop. He's probably like, I mean, I'm not saying Klopp lives on top of a sweet shop, but he probably is Leeds' little own Klopp, isn't he? Like you can see he's a proper character. I love his little bucket that he sits on. I'm do you know what? Like, I'm not a massive Leeds lover. It's well documented. I don't really like them, but I'm interested to see how they do this year. Because they're just the fans, they're passionate. I mean, I know they don't really like Scousers, but they're a good team. They are a good team, and I feel like someone like them could easily walk people like Arsenal. They could probably walk Tottenham. So they should be maybe getting considered as one of the big clubs again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've had teams in the past. I mean, since they went down, was it 16 years ago?
Yeah.
You look at the teams we've had in the Premier League, you Blackpool, Wigan, Bournemouth, teams like that, they're not Premier League teams.
Yeah, I mean, Leeds had a torrid time, didn't they? Because they went down to League One, I think.
Yeah.
For a little bit. So I think they just had bad owners. They've just been like a selling club. Because they were saying on the commentary yesterday about Calvin Phillips, he's been one player who's been refused to be sold, and he just wanted to do it with his childhood team. So fair play to him. And I mean, they describe him as a quarterback, but to me, he's like a deeper Bobby Firmino Phillips, isn't he? Like, he's always pass before the pass for them.
Yeah. He gets himself into good positions. He knows ball. But he wasn't in any way intimidated by us.
Yeah, you could tell that. I don't think any of them was. I think they were all up for the occasion, whether it be because it was the first game in the Prem. But they all looked like they had been in the Prem for a while, and they only rarely had El Da Costa and Hernandez, who used to play for Swansea, in the team who had Premier League experience. I mean, Rodrigo went to West Brom, I think it was, for a few months, about 10 years ago when he was a teenager, but they don't have much Premier League experience, but they didn't look out of place at all. But
one thing we were saying about their players, me and Ashley were discussing it, we were saying not one of them would get anywhere near our first. I don't think.
I'm just looking at this.
You go through their starting 11 and our starting 11. Not one of theirs is any better than
they wouldn't go in our team. One player that stood out for me though was their captain, that Ailing, the right back. He's decent. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'd probably take one or two of them for the bench if I had to.
Exactly.
But They wouldn't get into our team like when I'm looking at it.
You think looking at them teams on paper before the game, we should be turning them over. And without the mistakes, we probably would have turned them over 4-0, 4-1, something like that.
Yeah. I mean, but because they play like Liverpool, we aren't the only team in the league now who's playing like that, so they're going to then cause problems. Like, I just think they're a dark horse this season. Mm-hmm. As is another dark... I'm not going to say he's a dark horse because he gets wrote off and called a one-season wonder since he's been at Liverpool, but Mo Salah... I honestly think that fella's got a point to prove this season. He didn't get included in the PFA Team of the Year at all. Didn't make it at all this year, which is mad because I've got it wrote down somewhere. In the Prem last year, he had 19 goals and 10 assists in 34 games. He had 29 goal contributions and he didn't make Team of the Year. Like, what's that all about? And
what's he got to do? Like, yesterday, he was phenomenal.
He was sharp. Like,
there was plenty of our players who were bang average, if we're honest. He was by far, stands out, the best player on the pitch.
I mean, because of that game, he's been getting, apparently, he's the number one target for Koeman at Bar, so he can leg it. Because the only way, I mean, Mbappe's come out today and said he wants to leave at the end of the season. That's the only way I'd probably be willing to let Mo Salah go for getting Mbappe, Jadon Sancho, someone like that, someone who's a lot younger, who's as good to replace him. Yesterday, Mo plays with confidence, and usually it takes him a while to kickstart the season. I mean, he's scored on every opening day for the past 4 years since he's been at Liverpool, but then it usually takes him a while to get going. Getting a hat-trick on his first
flying, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's got that confidence is there, and that goal, oh my God. It reminded me that, I know it was a lot closer, but the power behind it was like, remember the Chelsea goal last season?
Oh, where he cut in, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was going to break the net. I'm sure he done an interview with Van Dijk, or he's commented on one of Van Dijk's posts, in recent months, where Van Dijk had won stuff, and Mo Salah commented, like, you don't want to win all the awards this year because you know what happens the following year. He's not wrong, like, he hasn't won nothing last year, and I was looking. In the Prem, to have 29 goal contributions in 34 games and not get any award is just crazy. I mean, Sadio Mane deserves what he won. Trent obviously got Young Player of the Year, well deserved. Hendo got Righteous Player of the Year, again, well deserved.
Was Sterling in that Team of the Year?
I think so, yeah.
Because I mean, what were his numbers?
No idea, but Mo Salah went under the radar last year.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure he did. Yeah.
Like, I didn't realise how good them numbers were until a few hours ago. Like,
we just take him for granted, don't we?
Yeah, he's world class. He's our best player. I mean, Sadio Mane is the best player in the world, but he is our best player. I only say Mane did look off the pace a little bit yesterday, where Salah just looked like he was in a league of his own yesterday, and if he can keep that up, I mean, people are saying like we haven't bought anyone. What I would count as this window as a success would be tying Gini down.
Yeah.
I don't care about Thiago. I'm not bothered. Yeah, he'd add so much quality to the midfield, but I can only see him coming in if we sell players, which I'll touch on now. Ismail Sarr has been linked with us massively, but I don't think he's worth it.
It depends on the figures they're throwing about for him. He's one of them who did really well against us. Other than that, he's a sort of hot and cold player. Now, we've bought players in the past who destroyed us, like Benteke, Andy Carroll. Look how that turned out.
One player I want, if I was Jürgen, I wouldn't be going for Ismail Sarr. I'd be going for Dahu. You're the Red Bull Salzburg striker.
Oh, yeah.
The one who was amazing against us in pre-season. He scored 4 goals yesterday for Salzburg. And I seen someone on Twitter say, sign him now before he becomes unsignable.
Yeah.
I'd rather have him. I mean, I think what Jürgen's looking for is somebody who can play the whole front three, left, right, and down the middle, which Sarr probably can. And he can learn off Mane, who's his mate.
Yeah.
But I think, especially if we're selling Brewster, which is rumoured, we'll touch on that later on in the podcast, though, because that's a big topic. But if he's going to be sold, I'd rather bring somebody in like Daku, who's out and out goal scorer, and that's what he wants. I'm not bothered about covering the left and the right because you got Minamino who can do that.
Yeah. I say we haven't got a proper striker, have we?
No.
I mean, Brewster's as close as we've got, and if we're getting rid of him, that leaves us a bit thin, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, before we go on to them talking points, finishing the game off, just want to touch on that held the cost of the goal. It was a very, very poor goal on Liverpool's half. Terrible throw by Trent to Salah. We didn't track back on the runs, and it just made Liverpool look amateur.
That was a couple of minutes. Was that a couple of minutes after Curtis Jones had come on?
Literally within the same minute.
Yeah, so they were still setting themselves as a unit, weren't they?
Yeah.
And they just all forgot to track the run. No one picked him up. I think it was I don't know who had him. Was it Gini or someone sort of had him close?
Yeah, I think so.
Just ambled away from him, and everyone just left him.
I mean, I can't fault Jones's performance at all. That's not me being biased. It's more.
No, I wasn't blaming Jones for the goal.
I know you went. It was as you come on. So that's the minute you make a sub, your team's everywhere anyway. I completely understand that. But touching on Jones, I don't think he's done himself any bad press. Right? What's the word I'm looking for?
Didn't do himself any harm.
Yeah, he was solid. The Van Dijk offside though, he was questionable for Jones because that was literally like 15 minutes after the Elder Costa goal, back and forth as always throughout that game. But Jones, to me, the saying he was offside, to the tackle wasn't even mentioned, was it? It was off. I'm sure it was offside. But then Jones didn't touch the ball. So why did it get ruled offside when Jones didn't come into the play? Because they ruled that goal out for an offside. So we're reviewing it. Don't get me wrong, it was a foul.
Did he make a move for the ball?
No, not really. He fouled the player, the fella who he stopped the run of the person tracking back, weren't it? I think it was that Koch, or however you say his name.
That's Jamie Carragher.
Well, on his Sky Sports, was it Martin Tyler in the commentary or whoever it was said it, and Jamie Carragher went, "You what?" And he didn't realise it was Koch, and then he was like, "Oh, you will be sound." And all game, Carragher was sat there made up saying it, but. Curtis tackled whoever it was who was meant to be marking Van Dijk. So, but the referee ruled that goal offside for Van Dijk.
For the foul, to be fair.
If it was for the foul, I'd hold my hands up and say, yeah, it wasn't a goal because Jones fouled him. But because it was ruled out for offside, Jones didn't come into didn't touch the ball.
No.
So it's just crazy. I mean, you could say that he interfered with the play.
I think the rule is if you make a movement towards the ball, that makes you active. So if he's made any movement towards the ball, he's offside, whether he gets it or not.
I mean, it was a bit of an experience from Jones. It was a bad tackle. Van Dijk probably would have got to the ball anyway. But that, to me, I was sat there, and do you know what? I don't know about you, but that whole game just screamed last season for me. Do you know where Liverpool just find a way to win? I was worried, I'll be honest, after Van Dijk's goal got ruled offside because of how good Leeds are. I thought this is going to be a draw, this first game of the season. And then when Salah got the pen, I was just like, it reminded me of the Leicester game last year.
Yeah.
When we won in the dying minutes with a pen. And that is how you win the league.
That is.
Yeah.
If you remember the first, I think I was talking yesterday about it, I think the first at least 8 to 10 games, barring I think there was one game where we really turned it on. We didn't really do a lot. We just sort of eat through it, man, just do enough. Yeah,
we weren't unbelievable last year. We were just found a way to win.
Yeah, and that's what we've done again, which against the good side, when you're not playing well yourself, you take that.
Unbelievable. I'd take it all day. Going back to Jones, though, he kept his place on the bench from last year. Elliott wasn't there. Nico wasn't there. I don't know if Nico's is down to playing with Wales, but he wasn't on the bench. He's obviously got number 17 now, Stevie's old number. Do you think he's got a key part to play this season? Do you think he is in immediate plans of Jurgen?
Yes.
Do you think if Thiago comes in, it hampers his development? Or
if Thiago comes in, I would say that would knock Curtis Jones down. I'm looking now, and I look at the substitutions he made. I think Curtis Jones now, as a midfielder, has took a step ahead of Milner.
Yeah.
Milner's there obviously as backups of left back, whatever. But I think as if you bring in a midfielder on, I think Curtis Jones was, and it showed yesterday with the substitution he brought Jones on ahead of Milner.
He's not afraid either, is he? When he's on the ball, he's not afraid to go into a tackle. He's not afraid to shield himself, to be strong, to be the bigger man. Like
he doesn't look like a kid, does he?
No. And it's when you think back to Trent, he just came in one game and just never left. Second place. And I mean, I'm not saying Jones is going to come in. We've got 10 central midfielders in the club. But if he's going to get 20, 30 minutes most weeks, some weeks start against your likes of West Broms and stuff like that, I think he's going to have a big impact myself. Obviously, Stevie Gerrard said that he's the best player he's worked with. I mean, that was before he went to Rangers, obviously. That was when he was just working it there. But Gerrard has worked with some phenomenal players down the line when you think like Alonso's, Mascherano's, stuff like that. Igor Bishkans, people like that. But Jones, for me, I think I've said it before, him and Trent are generational.
Yeah.
And it's when I seen him on the bench and none of the others on the bench, I was made up. Because I was just like, he's in the plans, him. And I think that's why we're not budging on our valuation of Thiago, to be honest. Because why pay 35 million for a 29-year-old when you've got someone who you've got for nothing out your academy who has got 15 years in him, and he's not going to want to leave Liverpool because he's going to want to be the captain of Liverpool, the same as Trent. They've got no reason to leave.
Who knows? Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not comparing him to Gerrard because I don't want Steven Gerrard. But at one point, Steven Gerrard had to be given a go. Otherwise, we'd have never known who he was.
I mean, I think it'll be impossible to replicate how much of an impact Gerrard had from the off because he scored in like his full. Yeah. But with Jones, he scored he come on at the end of last year, didn't he? He's got a goal. I'm excited for him, and if I'm going to be completely honest, if we end this window without Thiago, I won't be bothered. Because when you think about it, we've got the Ox, we've got Keita, got Gini, got Hendo, got Fabinho, got Curtis Jones, all for midfield. But I mean, Jones even got on the bench ahead of Shaqiri, which for me is a mad one because I thought he'd be one of the first people out the door. But he's been on like kit launches, he's been doing interviews, and like he's part of the actual team.
And, but he's not getting a look in come match day.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And I mean, Gruwich was on the bench, Brewster was on the bench, Harry Wilson didn't make the bench either. To me, them four are getting sold.
Looks that way. It does look that way. I say that the bench is down to 7 players now, isn't it? From 9.
Yeah, it's like the normal.
Yeah. So it's going to be hard keeping more players happy.
I mean, I'll be completely honest. I'd rather Brewster or Wilson on the bench over Origi. I'd rather keep hold of one of them and get rid of Origi instead because I feel like you'd get more money for Origi than you would. I mean, I've seen rumours we want to keep hold of Wilson, which I'd be happy to keep hold of him. He's a good option off the bench. But I feel like he'll probably end up with Villa, West Brom, someone like that. He's going to be one of them players who just is like a mid-table Prem player, I think. I mean, I was dead excited from when I used to watch the academy games. Him and Jones were phenomenal, but
he's sort of reached a plateau now on his ability, hasn't he? He doesn't seem to be improving. Although, he's at a good level. He's got to a good level, but he hasn't sort of kicked onto that next level where he
wants to stay at Liverpool. Like, that's the thing. He does want to stay at Liverpool. I know one of his ex-teammates, and he does want to stay at Liverpool. He still speaks to him, and I'd like him to stay. But then if we're selling them to then fund getting say Thiago and getting say either Ismail Assar or Dahu, or we've been linked with somebody from Anderlecht, a young kid who plays the 3 up front as well, I then wouldn't be complaining because I trust Klopp. Gruwich is somebody who. I mean, it's a shame that we'll have to sell him because he's never going to get a head looking over the amount of midfielders we've got. I think he's a good talent, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a massive unit as well, isn't he? Which, you've got a lot of in the midfield. I
mean, touching on the 4 of them, we haven't heard any rumours of anyone coming in for Shaq. The only one who's been talked about with a buyback clause is Brewster. Now, buyback clauses. I've seen loads of people slagging this off on Twitter, saying like, why sell him and stuff like that. Now, Ryan Brewster, at this present moment in time, for his age, will be worth a fair bit of money, given what he's done at Swansea last year. Given that in pre-season he scored, he's a goal scorer. People know it, and people would take a gamble on him. People would say pay 20 million for him. Why loan him to say Aston Villa? Why loan him there when we could sell him for 20 mil and have a buyback clause for say 25 mil? If he has an unbelievable season in the Prem, we're getting him back at the end of the year for 25 mil.
Yeah, so you haven't lost much, have you?
No, and we're using the money that we're getting off him now to invest in somebody who is ready now. Like Brewster, probably he is better than Origi. People would rather have him on the bench than Origi. That's fair enough. But then we've seen him when he's had chances in games that aren't pre-season and stuff, and he hasn't been unbelievable. Now he's found his form at Swansea, but that's half a season in the Championship. I feel like he needs another season either in the Championship or he needs to go to like a mid-table, lower table Prem team. And if he proves himself, we can buy him back. Buybacks can work. You think back to like Barcelona. I mean, it's a bad example, but with Gerard Deulofeu, he had a good season at Everton, so then they brought him back for literally about $1 million more, $2 million more. I mean, and he didn't hit
work, but
it could have. So if he has an unbelievable season in the Prem this year, Brewster, we'd have first dibs on him with a buyback clause. And if Klopp then thought, you know what, no, we don't need him, then he goes, and that's that. But I don't see the point in keeping hold of kids and hampering their development. Like Harry Wilson, he's been on loan. One player who I will highlight is like Ben Woodburn. He just went to Sparta Rotterdam or something like that. And
a couple of seasons ago, he was coming through pre-season, wasn't it? It looked like he was going to sort of break in. And then,
but he's been on loan for the past 4 years. When the Liverpool just going to sell him? They're probably not paying his wages, but he's still on our books.
I think that's like also down to the player. I think after you've been on a couple of loans, the players should go to his agent list.
Get me out.
It's not happening.
Like you look at Harry Wilson, he's been loaned out, but he's done the system properly because he's done League One, Championship, Prem. But then you look at like Shea Ojo, he's never going to make it at Liverpool. And we've loaned him out again this year, and it's like, just sell him. We don't need him.
He's had enough time now to establish himself and to make a name for himself, and he hasn't done it.
I can't remember who it was, but someone put on Twitter, and he made a good point. If you get loaned out, you're not wanted at the club. Elliot, Jones, and Nico Williams are not even mentioned about getting game experience elsewhere, and they're mentioned in the first. They're mentioned around the first team now. Now you look at like your Wilsons, your Ojos, your Woodburns, Brewster, people who are going out on loan. Obviously, Klopp thinks there's better options than them.
Yeah.
So why keep them? Like, why affect that kid's developments? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. As you said, you're not wanted by the club. If you're sent out on loan, certainly more than once, then I think the club see you as maybe an asset, but not as a player.
Yeah.
So as a player, you've got to look at it and go, well, is that all I am? I'm just a number. You know what I mean? So.
I mean, you look at like Bobby Duncan. He's doing what he done to us, to Fiorentina now, and he's going to move to Brentford. But he was probably right in his own little way when I think more about it now, because he's forced to move out because he wants to play. It doesn't want to affect his development, and I agree with him. Like, what's the point in getting shipped out on loan if you're not going to make it? Like, I'm sure I heard a stat ages ago saying that out of a squad of players in the academy, only 2 players they ever know will make it. The rest are there to just play with them 2 players. And when you look at it, we've had Jones and Nico and Trent ultimately pumped out in the recent years. So the other players probably wouldn't get a sniff in.
No. It's very rare that you'll get an actual batch of players all together. We've got like a little mini batch of 2 or 3 players, but you're never going to get the best example is United. You're never going to get that. That's just like that was a complete one-off, and no one else is going to replicate that because they just touch lucky with having the right players at the right time coming through.
So that's what I mean. Like I'm happy in a way for Brewster to go. But because he's being linked with going, I can't help but think Origi's staying.
Well, is it like the way I was thinking about Brewster is it like a marker of where you think he is in the club? If you see Minamino or Origi in the starting lineup, maybe it'd raise an eyebrow. If you seen Brewster in the starting lineup for a Premier League game, you'd be like, really?
Yeah.
It would raise more than an eyebrow, and that just sort of shows where he is.
Touching on Minamino, I personally think yesterday's game would have been perfect for him to play.
Yeah, a bit of creativity, but
yeah, I mean, it links in
space on the ball.
Links in with what I'm going to ask you. You know, are you at the minute? Before I say what I want to say, Bobby should have scored, as we know. Loads of people are questioning his form. Where do you stand on it?
He's not at his best. He's not. He needs, and I think he's sort of resting on his laurels because he's got no real competition. He needs to kick up the arse. Maybe he needs to be dropped. Maybe he needs to be dropped for a game or two, and then he'd be like, "Oh, okay, so I've got to do something." He's still Bobby. Don't get me. I love him. I love him to bits because he's brilliant. But I don't know, just something's not quite sticking for him.
I think he was all right yesterday. I don't understand the slack he got because with games like that, you don't really see Bobby on the ball that much, so to speak. He spends a lot of his time running out of position to get other people position and stuff like that. And because they man mark, he worked on that. And Bobby was key, I think, for how much space that was at the back. But yeah, chances like that, he should be finishing.
I mean, if he puts that away, no one says a thing about his performance.
Exactly. And it's just because he didn't score or get an assist. He's like, oh, because you didn't score or assist, we should question you. But I agree. I think Minamino should have started ahead of Bobby yesterday because he's had a better pre-season than Bobby. He looked more sharp. But then I also understand why he'd go to you. That was Klopp's go-to 11, bar Milner. Kaiser played instead of Milner. That's Klopp's go-to 11 when he knows it's going to...
Fabinho, tell you what, did we not half miss Fabinho in that first half?
Yeah. We just look so much... I know they scored in the second half, but we look so much sharper at the back, didn't we, when he came on? He just tidies everything up.
Yeah, he did. And it left the defence less exposed. And I found in the first half, our defence was exposed.
Yeah, I mean, I think he got it wrong yesterday, Klopp, in a sense of Hendo finished last season. Oh, he was obviously injured for the end of last season, but when he was playing more advanced. So to ask someone who's coming back off injury to go and play that role, which is so important for how the system works, it was tough for him. And he did obviously get a bit of a go at the advanced role, but only for 8 minutes.
And to be honest, he looked a yard off the pace anyway.
Yeah, I think it was just more because first game back he hadn't played. Yeah. He felt like he had to start him, and fair enough. After the season last year, he did deserve to start. But I just feel like if he wanted Hendo to start, he probably should have dropped Gini or Kaiser and played Fabinho, and allowed Hendo to play that advanced role. I couldn't fault Kaiser yesterday. He did have a good pre-season, deserved to play. He did make some promising runs. I honestly couldn't fault him, but
when he got brought off first, it was a bit of a surprise. Because Henderson looked a little bit off the pace. Gini, didn't do anything particularly wrong, but he wasn't setting the world on fire. Keita, I think, was probably up to that point, probably just edging as the best out of them three.
Yeah.
So for him to get brought off was a bit of a surprise, unless it was planned, unless he wasn't fit enough. Maybe Fabinho wasn't fit enough.
I think Gini was always getting 90 minutes because there's rumours he signed the contract.
Right.
I'm not sure. So to give him 90 minutes, it's like we trust you.
Yeah.
I think, and we've been so active lately on social media, Liverpool, with Gini gifts, Gini pictures.
Yeah.
There's that pitch that's come out. Yeah, there's been that pitch that's come out with Henderson.
Yeah.
Jumping for joy in front of him. I think he has signed it.
That's been leaked on purpose.
Yeah, I think it'll be announced probably tomorrow.
Yeah.
Monday morning, or they're saving it and they're just going to do a day where they announce Gini's contract.
You see on Gini's Instagram, he actually posted that picture himself and wrote caption under it. Yeah.
It's just, I think it is done. I'd love to keep him. And I think it's more so done because now the Salah to Barca rumours have started, and it's not Gini to Barca anymore. Koeman obviously is a red. His red Christmas tree was a sign. But yeah, I hope Gini has signed. I think he's a lot more important to this team than people make out. He's a phenomenal player. We wouldn't have won the Champions League without Gini. You think so last year? What I would like to see him though this year is maybe played a bit more advanced, like he does for Holland.
Yeah.
He's a goal scorer. Yeah, he's a goal scorer for Holland, and I'd like to see him play that little bit more advanced for us. Especially like that midfield yesterday. It's a shame to say it, but if Fabinho did start instead of Henderson and you had Kaiser and Gini, that's quite a creative midfield going forward. But obviously I don't want to see Endo miss out. This is where we've got too many midfielders.
But there's plenty of games to be played. You know,
there is.
Suspensions, all that sort of stuff.
I mean, I don't know if we'll go all guns blazing for the cups. I'd like to see us go for the FA Cup. I'd like to see us win everything, to be honest. Like,
well, that goes without saying.
Yeah, I would like to see us win everything. But I want to, before we go any further, we and you set some predictions a few weeks ago, and we said we'd do it at the start of this season.
Yeah.
So we're going to write them down. I want you top 6 in order.
Okay.
I want your winner of the Champions League.
Right, I haven't seen everyone play yet.
I want
we'll go with
the Europa. This is what I mean. I want before the start of the season. I want you winning the top 6, winning the Champions League, winning the Europa League, the FA Cup, the League Cup, and who's going to be the bottom 3.
All right, okay. So we'll start with the top 6. I'll stick with my original top 4, which I said a few weeks back. I'm not going to change that because I haven't seen everyone play. So I said Chelsea, Liverpool, City, United, didn't I?
Yeah.
Then 5th and 6th, I will go with Arsenal and Spurs.
Do you want to talk us through why?
No. That's just where I rank the current squads. How I think the squads.
I mean, we was going to do it at the end of the transfer window, but the reason I want to do it now is the transfer window ends after a few games in the season. So, now, for example, you might have maybe said Leeds in your bottom 3 at the start of the season, but after seeing as you know they're probably not going to be, so it can change. But that's why I want to do it before everyone's played. So, what about your bottom 3? Bottom 3, yeah. Yeah.
West Ham.
Yeah.
West Brom.
Issues going on at West Ham, isn't there?
I know.
Champions League.
Us.
Interesting.
No bias there at all.
Europa League.
Don't even know who's in it. I'll tell you, someone from Italy will win it. Whichever Italian team are in there, one of them. I'm not actually sure who's in it.
FA Cup.
Wolves.
And League Cup.
City.
So you're going with City only doing the League Cup again?
Yep.
Right. All right, man. I'll say it as I'm doing it. So my top 6, I'm going to go with Liverpool first. I say it every year. I'm never going to change it. But I just feel like I stand on the model of if it's not broken, fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard yesterday on the telly that, I can't think if it was Carragher or someone who said it, that we've got a point to prove because if we win the league this year, it's going to be in front of the fans. Do you know what I mean? That ultimately last season we've won the league with no in front of the fans. Yeah, when fans are back in the stadium, it probably will get brought on the pitch. Yeah, they will parade it. But this team won us got us to the Champions League final. The only addition is Alisson, really.
Yeah.
And then they've won us the Champions League and they've won us the league. So this year they're going to win us the double.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
League and Champions League.
Yeah, I'm going to do the top 6 first. I'm going to go Liverpool.
Yeah.
City. Arsenal.
Really, Arsenal? Okay.
Liverpool, City, Arsenal, and Chelsea. And then I'm going to put United 5th. I feel like United are going to sack Solskjaer by December, January, because they've given money, and I don't think they're going to do very well. I mean, Donny van der Beek's a phenomenal signing. And apparently being linked with Thiago now as well, and they'll prepare to match anything he wants, obviously, just to get him away from Liverpool. If they get Thiago, I'll be honest, if they get Thiago, that'll change. I think United will get 3rd and Arsenal will get 5th. I think Chelsea are nailed on top 4, because although they might not click straight away, which we'll talk about Chelsea in a minute in the build-up, but I feel like if United get Thiago, they'll get 4th. But at the minute, with the team that I'm going off at the minute, and I don't think they will get Thiago, I'm going to say they're going to get 5th, and Solskjaer is going to get sacked, because Fernandes can't go all season getting penalties, surely. Pogba at some point in the season is going to get pissed off with United. Oh, shouldn't swear. Pogba at some point is going to get annoyed with United and just throw his dummy out the pram like he does every season. But Donny van der Beek's a good signing, but it's what he's like in the Prem. So yeah, Liverpool, City, Arsenal, Chelsea, United. 2, 3, 4, 5. Who's Wolves? They bought that Wolves.
Well, they've got that kid, haven't they?
Fabio Silva, yeah. Spurs aren't going to get top 6 again. They're probably going to sack Mourinho, because he'll get fed up. He'll want his payoff, and he'll just stop making them play defensively, playing crap, being negative, slagging the players off. He'll get sacked, get his fat payoff. That's what Mourinho does now. The only team he's ever really been loyal to in the Premier is Chelsea, isn't it? Like with United, he got fed up. Although he won the Europa League for them. Did he win the Europa League? United wasn't it? Yeah, he won the Europa League, I think. He's won something every club he's managed. I know that. But I just don't think that have you been watching the All or Nothing on them?
No, I haven't.
He looks like he's a good manager, you know, like he is well respected, but I just know from recent years he's one of them managers who gets fed up and throws his dummy out the pram and then he starts playing awful. But yeah, Champions League, Liverpool.
Hey.
I think we're going to go for it this year, and I still stand by we would have won it last year if Alisson didn't get injured. And obviously, I know Adrian played as Parsons winning the league, and I'd never say a bad word about him. The Twitter heads who slag him off, they're just probably 13-year-olds who judge players on FIFA ratings. The Ox will probably be next in the 509 because he got a 79.
Yeah.
But for me, I think that this year, because of what happened last season, I just think that we got a point to prove in the Champions League, and I do think that we will win it. The Europa League, I'm going to go with our Arsenal.
They qualify, yeah.
Well, they finished 6th, didn't they? And
Not them.
Yeah, they did. No, they had to win the FA Cup to qualify, didn't they?
Right. Yeah, no, they'll be in then, yeah.
Arsenal are going to win the Europa League, I think, because Willian, if he plays how he played. Did you watch the Arsenal game?
I seen most of it, yeah. He
unbelievable
assist, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean they've that front three of Willian, Aubameyang and Lacazette worked. Probably more so than the 75 million he spent on Pepe. He was probably a better buy. But then benching Pepe, who he paid that much money for, that'll get him riled up. That'll get him firing when he comes on. So Arsenal, I think, are in a good moment under Arteta. Obviously, we didn't do a podcast after the Community Shield final, which I think we were very, very unlucky to lose. To put Brewster on a penalty, to bring him on to take a penalty is a mad move. But yeah,
so it's so not like Klopp.
I think if you're making a sub at the time Brewster came on, you bring Adrian on, because Alisson's never saved a penalty for Liverpool. I don't think Alisson isn't the best at saving pens. That's one thing that he isn't that good at. And when he didn't save them pens, he's come out that like I was all over Twitter. He hasn't actually saved a pen for us. which I'm not that bothered about, to be honest. It doesn't really worry me. If that's his one weakness, penalties, it's not like it's every game. But I think Adrian should have come on or more over than Brewster. But we live and learn. We didn't win the Community Shield last year, and look how that turned out. So I'm not really that bothered. But yeah, Europa League, Arsenal. FA Cup, Liverpool.
We're having a good season here, aren't we?
League Cup, Liverpool.
Quadruple then, yeah.
Yeah.
Who's your bottom three?
West Brom.
Yeah.
Burnley.
Ooh, okay.
And West Ham.
Alright, so we've got fairly similar there, haven't we?
Yeah. Only difference is Fulham. I think they're going to stay up. I think Scott Parker's a decent manager, you know.
I just hate them. They're just one of them clubs. Like, you know, saying before, what teams that don't belong in the Premier League. I think that probably goes back to my.
We used to always
get anti-Hodgson.
Yeah, and we used to always get beat years ago when he was in the Premier. Oh, I used to hate playing them, but I think they got a good team. I don't think they're going to go and spend ridiculous like they did last time he was up. I mean, they lost 3-0. Was it to Arsenal? I think
3-0 to Arsenal.
Yeah, but then that's a tough game. I think Fulham will survive. To be honest, I think they'll just survive. I'm not saying they're going to be like Leeds who'll finish 8th.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you, who do you think's going to be your dark horse this year? So it doesn't mean they have to win anything, but like Sheffield United last year, unbelievable. There was a dark horse team. Who would you say is your dark horse team this year?
I would say this team. I wouldn't say they're particularly dark horse because they've had a decent season, but Wolves. I can see Wolves going on winning a cup and challenging for that top 6 again.
I'm going to cause controversy.
Don't even say them.
Everton.
I knew you were going to say that.
Now, I'm not saying they're going to get in the top 4. I'm not saying they're even going to get in the top 6. Like I've already given me top 6. But I think Everton will probably finish like 7th or something and maybe go on a decent little cup run. I'm saying dark horse Everton because I'd really like to get them in the FA Cup final or the League Cup final and beat them at Wembley and stop them with the trophy. So I'm going to say Everton's my dark horse. Now, James Rodriguez, I think, could be a genius signing because, like I've said to you a few days ago, he's got a point to prove him.
Yeah.
He's had a bad few years. Since the World Cup, he's not been that good. Ancelotti likes him. Now, they've completely changed their midfield, so it's going to take time to gel. But Allen he's a good...
Allen's brilliant. I think out of all of them, Allen's the best signing.
Myself, I think it's Decore, and I want Decore at Liverpool. He is going to be world class. He's not. One thing I will say is Decore probably won't be at Everton long. He's probably going to end up going to United or City or someone like that. But I think Everton are a dark horse this season. Now they need to fix the keeper issue because Pickford's awful, and the defense isn't the best. But ultimately they have got money. Now, if they don't buy anyone at the end of this transfer window, if they haven't bought anybody else and they've only bought them 3 midfielders, I'd change my dark horse to Leeds. But I'm basing this off now. I think they're still not finished in the market.
Everton?
Yeah. I think Everton still aren't finished, and I do think that they probably will have a good season. As much as I hate them, they've got a world-class manager.
They have. Yeah, I mean...
Did he win the Premier Chelsea, Ancelotti?
He's won all sorts. He's won
Champions League.
Yeah.
And I think now he's come in. He's going to have his first full season. It's his transfer market. He can buy his team. I think they're going to do well. Now, I'm not saying top 6. What I will say is in the next few years, I think Liverpool and Everton are going to be like it was in the 80s. If they're backed... Because also Ancelotti's a good manager. As much as I hate Everton, he is a good manager, and I've said that to my mates who are Blues. I've got a good manager.
Do you think you say in a few years? So you say 4 years.
Yeah.
Do you think he would stay that long?
The only way Everton would sack him is if he started losing loads of games like they did with Silva, because they didn't want to sack him. They only sacked him because the fans wanted him gone. Everton are very much like Liverpool, where ultimately, if we don't want a manager, we'll get them gone. Look at Hodgson. Fans didn't want him, and he was gone in months. And they absolutely adore Ancelotti, same as like we adore Klopp. And ultimately, they've got to give him time. Liverpool have only... Klopp's been at Liverpool for 5 years, I think, isn't it? 2015 did he come, was it?
Yeah.
And so he's been at Liverpool for 5 years, and it's only the past 2 seasons we've won stuff. Same with Ancelotti, he needs time, and they've got decent money, they've got good owners. They're on the way to getting a new stadium. I mean, we'll see, because it still hasn't happened, but Everton look like they are rising again, and do you know what? I'm not bothered. I can take Everton winning stuff, to be honest. If the 2 best teams in the country are Liverpool and Everton, and it's Merseyside, and it's putting on...
I miss having the Liverpool Everton rivalry, because it's crap now.
Yeah, because you just know we're going to win. And I mean, it feels like the country's going back into the dark days of Thatcher and stuff like that, and like where Liverpool will be overlooked pretty much by the Tory government. So to put us on the map, we've got the footy, and I just hope that. And then, like say Webster, he could be putting us on the map musically.
I just hope it doesn't turn into a real rivalry.
I don't think it will. I think
not from our perspective, it won't. But
no, I mean Everton are bitter, but I think the bitter Blues are just idiots. Like every Blue I know, and I know other people who know Blues. Like there's Blues in every friendship group. There's Blues in families. Although they're bitter, they understand Liverpool are a far more superior team. So even if they go and win the league in say 3 years, they aren't going to. Yet they'll gloat for a year because they've won the league. Yet it'll be horrible. But ultimately, Liverpool are still far more superior than Everton. And it's boss to have the best players in the world wanting to come and play for Liverpool and Everton. Because at the minute, I hate it. I hate Manx. And at the minute, United, like the past few years, I mean, we're the best team in the world now, but the past few years, it's been United and City, hasn't it? When Fergie was still there, when City first got took over, they were just getting everyone, and I hated it. So I'd love it, because I know all the Manx would hate it if Liverpool and Everton are taken over.
Yeah, you want Liverpool as a city being the place to be again.
Yeah. I mean, with the and also just want to touch on with me saying Burnley and me bottom 3. Someone mentioned that. I think it was Carragher on Sky Sports, and it stuck in my head because I was thinking he's right there, because Sean Dyche has publicly said he's frustrated with like transfer dealings, he isn't getting the money in the market and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like Burnley this year are going to be a bit like Bournemouth, where you haven't got that good of a team. Everyone knows how they play. They're just going to fizzle out.
That's another one of them clubs that I mentioned before, in the Wigan and Blackpool bracket, where they're not really a Prem team.
No, they're not. They've been and if they go down, they've done well to stay up as long as they have. But it'd be interesting if they do go down and would get Nick Pope, because he's a good keeper, and that's honestly why I think Everton should be targeting is Nick Pope. And that's why I think Burnley might go down, because I do feel like Ancelotti knows Pickford's crap.
He doesn't go to Everton, and Chelsea is probably.
They're getting that keeper, that Mendy, aren't they, from Rennes in France, which is interesting because, and then that Martinez from Arsenal, he's going to Villa. Now Villa, they could be a good team this year. If they keep hold of Grealish, this Ollie Watkins is a good striker. How he fares in the Prem, we don't know. They pay big money for him, but if they get that Martinez, he's a good keeper. And we were speaking also him where else even being Arsenal's number 1. He's a good keeper. So it'll be interesting to see how they do. I mean, the market's still open until the end of September. I think it's 28th. So yeah, there's still about 2 weeks left of it. I don't think Liverpool will buy anyone myself.
Anything can happen. We'll have to revisit at the end of the transfer window.
That's why I haven't put Chelsea near winning the league, because I don't think Thiago Silva and Ben Chilwell close. They were 33 points behind us going into the Chelsea. Like, we'll speak about Chelsea now, talking ahead, because that's the next game next Sunday, 4:30 kickoff away. I don't think the signings they've made makes 33 points. I mean, yeah, they've got Werner, Havertz, Ziyech, Thiago Silva, Ben Chilwell, and then this new keeper. Going forward, phenomenal.
Do you think it's going to be a 33-point gap, though? Do you think we're going to get as many points this season?
I don't think we'll get beat. I mean, obviously we'll probably lose a game or two, but I think that what's changed from Liverpool last year to this year, this is what everyone keeps saying, like, oh, we need to buy. Why do we? We absolutely humiliated everyone else in that league last year. We were miles ahead. And when you look at Chelsea, yet they finished fourth, but 33 points they were behind us. So in my eyes, they need to claw 33 points back because Liverpool are the same team, same morals, same work ethic.
My worry, just a slightly negative perspective on it, is that we'll get complacent. I hope not.
I think we've got a team of born champions. They've had the taste for winning and they've won it. And Chelsea was on. When you think about it, Chelsea only got 66 points. That's not a bad season. 66 points. We got 99 points. Yeah, and granted, like they lost 12 games last year. Maybe even if that gets halved, and they win 6 more games with the new team, they still and we're still under the same form as last year. They still don't beat us.
True.
And Thiago Silva, yeah, he's good, but he's old. How can you say he's your answer to your defensive problems? He's old.
I don't think he's the answer as such. I think he helps.
With Rudiger, yeah, he'll probably be a decent partnership, but then paying 50 mil for Ben Chilwell. Now, obviously, we went in for Jamal. Yeah, very excessive because I personally think when Newcastle got Jamal Lewis for like 16 mil, if Chelsea would have got Jamal Lewis, I honestly think they would have done better. Someone who Frank and his team can develop.
People talking about Newcastle, that Callum Wilson.
I would have took him off the bench.
20 mil. That's business, that, you know.
He looks sharp, to be honest. Newcastle could be a team to watch out for. Ryan Fraser's good as well. St. Maximin is unbelievable on his day. But yeah, with Chelsea, would you say now is the perfect time to play Chelsea? No fans, they haven't gelled yet. And they got to the round of 16, the Champions League, so they aren't playing this week. So their first game back is us.
Yeah,
I think, innit? No, they play Brighton. Sorry, on Monday.
Okay, no, even still, I think it's a good time to play them.
Yeah.
Because although the signings they made them brilliant, they won't have had that much time to sort of gel as a team on the pitch.
I mean, Werner's in my fantasy footy team because I do think he's going to have a good season. But Werner and Havertz are gelled. They play together for Germany. But then it's fitting the other players round them, like Ziyech and Ziyech. I mean, they bought well, but then we've seen so often with teams in the past, like when City got first bought us out, buying individual players doesn't necessarily win you the league. These are phenomenal individuals, the superstars, and Werner, superstar at Leipzig, Havertz, superstar at Leverkusen, Ziyech, superstar at Ajax, Chilwell, superstar at Leicester, Thiago Silva, superstar. I mean, I know they got Neymar and Mbappe, but he was a superstar at PSG. He was the captain. But Ben Chilwell for 50 million will not get them 33 points.
Not by himself.
He is. It's mad. And the players you think they could have got Jamal Lewis for half that. Even if Norwich went up to 25 mil because they did with us, they were a joke dealing with us. Jamal Lewis, Ben Chilwell probably is more complete now than Jamal Lewis.
But that's the Chelsea thing, isn't it? They buy players who are ready now.
Yeah, but every single team who's bought big in this market took a loan out, you know. Yeah, even Everton, Chelsea have. I mean, Chelsea took a loan off Abramovich, but it's a loan and it's on the books as a loan. So it's. I think that I don't think Chelsea are going to be. I think they've got the wrong manager.
Right. I don't personally.
He's done nothing for them, and because he's Frank Lampard, people are saying he's had a good season because he got fourth. Granted, they had a transfer ban, and they've lost Hazard and stuff, but I just don't think that all the amount of faith he put in them kids last year, and they've repaid them. I don't think he should have went out and changed the whole team this year. I think he should have maybe changed 1 or 2 positions and give them a go in the Champions League. If next year they finish 4th and they don't win anything again, then he buys big. But he needs to give them that chance. He needs to give them that faith, because you look like Tammy Abraham and that. He is not getting in ahead of Timo Werner.
No.
Do you know what I mean? And last season he did
and he's
that.
a good player, that Abraham.
Yeah,
he
he
get
is.
into a lot of sides in the
For
Premier
me,
League.
I don't fear Chelsea anymore. Last season, they lost 12, drew 6. They only won 20 games all season. They only had 9 clean sheets. So the defence really needs improving. They were 4th. Obviously, they were runners-up in the FA Cup, but they were shocking in that final. They only got to the 4th round of the Carabao Cup. Round of 16 in the Champions League, where they got turned over, and then obviously they lost the Super Cup to us. And people are thinking that, and you think they're going to win the league, and other people are thinking that they're going to win the league, and they've been tipped to win the league like so many people. And it's just like, not one of these players, other than Ben Chilwell's got Premier League experience.
Well, look, don't get me wrong. I hope.
Are you wrong? Yeah.
I'm wrong. I just got the feeling, so we're going to go with it.
There's pundits now who genuinely believe Chelsea will win the league, and to me, it's just like, you think back to some players like Timo Werner, world class. Andrei Shevchenko was world class.
Yeah, I mean, Chelsea have had a lot of. The Hernan Crespo, Pato went there as well. I mean, they've had plenty of players who haven't quite made it.
Exactly. And
but I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, but I just got this feeling. And if I'm wrong, then fantastic. We're winning the league again.
Yeah, so Chelsea on Sunday. We'll talk after that. What's your score prediction for this one?
I think it's going to be another high-scoring game. I think it's going to be 3-2 to us.
Interesting. I'm going to go with...
I think Bobby is going to bag a goal, because we've been slagging him a bit.
And it's away from home. I'm going to go 4-1. Liverpool. And I'm going to go... Mo's going to get 2. Bobby's going to get 1, and Manny's going to get 1.
Yeah, I'll take that.
It's good to be back, Ste.
Yeah,
good to be back. Season's back. Everton's back on track. Champions League will be back soon.
Before you go, who would you play?
The same lineup.
Exactly same 11, yeah.
I'd drop Gini for Fabinho. That's the exact same lineup, but Gini for Fabinho. That's it.
So I bring Fabinho in for Gini. I would bring Matty.
I think that's probably what will happen, what you said. But I'm a massive Gomez fan. I think him and Van Dijk are phenomenal, and the records speak for themselves. But yeah, I think that will happen because Matip's face and Gomez wasn't unbelievable against Leeds. But first game back, at least we won. Obviously, there's still going to be cobwebs there. Regardless that they only had a few weeks off, they still had a few weeks off of not training every day. So there is going to be cobwebs there. I'm not really that bothered. We're going to win the quadruple. Yeah,
first.
Yeah, nice one as always. Coming on, Steve.
All right, cheers. Take it easy. See you later.